Hello and happy new year, Noir Nation. Oh, we have made it through to a brand new year with a brand new set of 365 days to do great things with. I hope that your 2026 is off to a fantabulous start. I had planned on doing something really cool and fun for this first episode of the new year. My intention was to be live and in person, you know, your favorite country girl, with a special episode to kick off the new year. But, you know, shit happens. But, ooh, wait a minute. Where are my manners? Surely we have some guests and I am just being rude. Listen, newbies, if it was your New Year's resolution to listen to a new podcast and you just so happen to think that this one here sounded interesting, well, honey, welcome to the mayhem, baby. Let me tell you what you're working with. You see, every week I am going to bring you the tea on some of the most heinous, diabolical, and downright audacious crimes committed by some melanated baddies that you may have never heard of. And if you have, perhaps you didn't hear the whole story. But I can promise you this, regardless of whether you've heard or not, you have not heard the story the way I'm gonna tell it, baby. Ooh, no. And since I skipped right on by the opening, I am your favorite country girl, Renee Davis, and this is the Melanin Mayhem Podcast. All right, Noir Nation, now that the niceties have been observed, we can get back to doing what we was doing, catching up, because I ain't talked to y'all since last year, baby. So let's see. What did we do? For the month of December, we did Samuel Little. And right towards the end of the month, I realized that I had an extra Wednesday to contend with. So for the New Year's Eve episode, I gave you a re-recorded episode of the inaugural episode of Roberta Elder. Thank you to everyone that suggested that. I do that when I reached out for ideas on what to do with myself for the last day of the year. Baby, because woo, child, when I tell you the country girl was running on fumes, your girl was running on fumes. Like, there was nothing left in the tank. My mind was just everywhere but where it needed to be. And it's that damn Virgo complex, y'all. I'm telling you. I just got to be a superwoman. Got to do everything just right, just perfect. Can't miss a deadline. And I had promised y'all that every Wednesday you was going to hear from me and nothing but death could keep me from it. But you know what I learned, y'all? To give y'all my best, I gotta be at my best. And that requires me, from time to time, to take a breather and refresh myself. You know, take a little time and enjoy the view. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. Last year, I was on vacation and I was recording. I was gallivanting around the world for my birthday and still making sure that the episodes were going to drop on time. Now, please, unclench your pearls, honey. Don't worry. You will have plenty of notice when I plan on taking a sabbatical, and you will know exactly for how long I will be gone. But please understand, even when I put my church finger up, I promise to leave you with a little something to help you get through. So, as far as church announcements for 2026, we do have a couple. So next month, for the month of February, I got another one of those little virtual get-togethers planned. Tickets are on sale right now on Eventbrite for the Ladies' Night In. Crime, cocktails, and confessions with me and my boo thing Tiffany from Melanin Mysteries. Y'all know Detective Light Skin. That's my poo. We about to do a little Galentine's situation, again, of the virtual kind. So yeah, join us on February 7th. That's the first Saturday in February. I didn't want to intrude on whatever plans that you might have for V-Day. So just look at that first Saturday with us as the pregame show for your Valentine's adventures. All right. Next up, let's see. I need to hip you to what we're going to have going on in 2026 as far as what I'm going to do to complement Melanin Mayhem. I mean, you guys were very clear in that once a week was just not enough time with your favorite country girl. And I have been promising y'all a video for so long. When we closed 2025 down and I stopped doing Love Kills, I knew I was going to have to replace it with something, right? I also knew that I wanted to stay in the Black true crime genre and keep bringing our stories to the forefront. But, you know, I wanted to do something that was a little bit different from Melanin Mayhem. And so I got to thinking. And y'all know some good stuff happens when I think sometimes. And something that has bewildered me and had my flabbergasted is that when I be researching these cases, the difference between the jurisdictions, how people are charged and how they are sentenced for the various mayhem things that these people are doing. And so again, I got to thinking how the same crime can lead to radically different punishments depending on where you are. Like one place, it might get you life in one state, but it might get you 25 years in another state. One state might impose a death penalty while another state might let it slide with a possibility of parole. So I got to thinking, if nothing else, y'all know I always say you need to know where you are before you commit a crime. Not that I am promoting or advocating for you to be out here getting your mayhem on, but if you do, at least you'll know before you go. So all month I'm going to be dropping teasers for this new joint. But another thing that I came to the reality on last night of all, well, probably not last night, probably very early this morning. Let me tell you what I mean. So Monday I had to work. And so I'm doing this new job and I work the evening shift and I don't get off work until like 12:15 in the morning. And by the time I make it home, it's about 1 o'clock on a good day, 1:30 on a bad day. And so I get in here and I rush and I start recording, but not just any old recording, y'all. I did a video and I was so happy. I got all these cameras set up. And the first set of cameras that Santa had bought me that was supposed to be the latest and the greatest that podcasters use, I couldn't figure out how to get them to interface with Riverside, which is the platform that I was using for the recording. So it was like, okay, that's not going to work. So then I went and I recorded using the camera on my laptop. But I did not use my microphone. Over the holidays, I seen on the social media sites where people have these little cute little cordless mics, the little Bluetooth mics. And I was like, oh, it looks like a makeup brush. So I went out and bought 3 of those over the holidays. So I am recording on my laptop and I have this cute little Bluetooth mic. And I did a full hour and some change recording, right? And so when I get through, it's about 3:30 in the morning, Tuesday morning, right? And I play it back to kind of start doing some light editing. And ooh, child, what in the 1972 karate movie is this? My lips was moving and wasn't no words coming out. Then there were words coming out and my lips weren't moving. And I was horrified, y'all. When I tell you I just started crying, I'm a Virgo and I'm a perfectionist, and I truly believe that anytime I press record, everything is just going to come out rainbows and unicorns, right? But not this. The video, y'all, was horrible. The lighting was horrible. The audio, horrible. And I can't put that out there like that. So I called Santa up because, he at work and it was also his birthday. And I'm just crying. Baby, it ain't right. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And he was like, baby, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. I'll get in there with you. I got you. And I'm like, and by the way, happy birthday. I'm so extra. I literally couldn't sleep. So I sat up till 6 o'clock Tuesday morning before I finally drifted off to sleep. But again, I am dreaming about this doggone video. So I wake up, it's about 12:30 in the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. I still don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm going back and I'm looking at this video that I made, and y'all, it's just horrible. There's nothing that I can do to save it because guess what? I don't have any experience editing video. So while I have taught myself how to edit the audio portion of my podcast, this video thing is a whole new ball of wax. So I just made an executive decision. I'm going to get off work today at 12:15 in the morning, Wednesday morning. I am going to come in. I am going to re-record the episode, and then I will piece together some type of video montage because I have elements that I was going to add to my video of me. But I got to do something because, again, I've been promising to do a video element to my podcast. So here I am. It is 1:17 in the morning, Wednesday morning. I am re-recording the episode that is supposed to drop in 6 hours, 7.5 hours and some change or whatever. 8:30 in the morning is usually when I have it posted to Spotify. I have no idea exactly how all of this is going. I've got Canva up on another screen while I'm putting some stuff together. All of that to say, what I am actually realizing for 2026 is that I want to make sure that whatever I do, I give it 100% my best. I don't want to give you all a half-ass effort in anything that I do. It just doesn't go with my personality. I just can't do it. So if I can't do it right, I'm just not going to do it at all. And kind of like me taking sabbaticals to refresh myself, the same thing goes with this video thing. So while I am going to have some type of video component up, it's not what I thought it was going to be, but what I have found just in my journey of podcasting is that you just have to press record. And so that's what I'm going to do. It took me a while to get comfortable with just the audio. It's really going to take me a while to get comfortable with the video, putting my face out there like that. But again, I can't get comfortable unless I am doing it. So it's coming. Today's video is a little bit special just because I wanted to kind of close out 2025, put a nice little bow on it. You know, we're all still basking in the glow of the new year of it all. But I want to make sure that we properly close out 2025 because that was a great year for Noir Nation, wasn't it? We did some things last year. So again, I got to thinking, what can I do for this first video of 2026, right? And so what I came up with is that I am going to do a countdown video because I love a good countdown. The top 10 episodes of 2025 as ranked by Spotify across all of my platforms. And I figured we would go through that. I'll give you a little synopsis of each one, and then that will be my way of tying 2025 up with a nice crimson red bow. Y'all know I like them crimson red bows. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to count down the top 10 episodes by rank, again, so that we can properly close out 2025. And then next week, we will get on with our brand new stories of felonious foolishness and fuckery for 2026. Okay? So without further ado, let's get into some mayhem, shall we? All right, so coming in at number 10 with 4,086 streams was the episode titled Minister Merkel Motherfucker. Ooh, baby. This one right here, I had to fix me a drink, honey, because when I tell you that this story had everything, I mean it had everything. There was scamming, insurance fraud, voodoo, all that shit, and a man of God that wasn't connected to not one church. And that's because he was an old hoe-ass, jack-leg-ass, no church-having-ass shyster. So our mayhem maker, his name was Reverend Willie Maxwell, and he was a self-anointed preacher with a silver tongue and a taste for life insurance policies. And back in those days, you could take out a policy with just somebody's name and their birth date. And that meant that this man basically discovered a legal way to collect a bounty on anybody he so choose to, and then act all shocked and surprised when they ended up in the room. Now, the wild part is the people around Coosa County, that's where all of this took place. The people in and around Coosa County, they knew something wasn't right. Some of them were a superstitious type of people, right? And they was more worried about Reverend Merkel motherfucker coming to shake some chicken bones around their house because he was known to know his way around a yard bird and a pecan tree. Baby, I don't care if you call it voodoo, hoodoo, or whatever you do. That shit had the people shooketh, and they didn't want to become his next victim. But everybody knew that all of these deaths that were happening around Reverend Willie, they weren't just tragic. They were convenient and relatively repetitive because everybody died in the same place. They died in their car. What the hell? Yes, y'all remember wife number 1? She goes missing. They found her dead in her car and it looked like she'd been beat to death, and they said that Reverend looked good for the mollywhopping. Well, Reverend got him a good old Johnny Cochran-ass lawyer, and the Reverend got off, and the Reverend also got him a bag. Then his brother turned up deader than a motherfucker in his car. Looked like somebody just poured liquor down his throat. The Reverend collects another check. Well, then his second wife that helped him get off on the killing of his first wife, well, she ends up communing with the Lord under suspicious circumstances too, also found in her car. And here go the Reverend. He is two-stepping to the bank with yet another check. Oh, my Lord, honey. And then his nephew fucked around and found himself at the Potter's house. Baby, child woke up in the presence of the Lamb. Now, Rev wasn't able to collect no check on that because he fucked up the paperwork, but it wasn't for lack of trying. And then he moved on to wife number 3. Now, this particular wife, she didn't catch that death, but her daughter did. Yes, honey, wife number 3 had a daughter. Her name was Shirley Ann. That was Reverend Willie's stepdaughter. And Shirley Ann dies in one of them, this nigga is a stone cold killer type of situations. But this particular killation was the crime that broke the camel's back, baby. Now, this is already a whole lot, but the real mayhem went down at Shirley Ann's funeral. Ooh, what happened, Nate? Now, I know y'all know, but for the few people who have not actually heard that episode, let me let you know what happened at the funeral. You see, Shirley Ann had an uncle that loved her like she was one of his own, and he knew that Reverend Killer Kill had killed Shirley Ann, and he was not pleased, and he let it be known that it was going to be some slow singing and flower bringing if Reverend Willie brought his ass to Shirley Ann's funeral. He let it be known. It was his sister that Reverend was married to. Hey, if your old man come up in here, I'm telling you that peace be still gonna lay everybody down. Okay? Let it be known he had set the table for what's gonna transpire at this damn funeral. Well, you know a negacious ass motherfucker got to show their ass. And guess who showed up to that funeral? He was late, but he showed up like everything was just normal. Yes, honey, that Reverend Willie Maxwell's negastic ass. And our good uncle, Robert Burns, he said, "Not today, Satan. I told you it was on sight, and I meant that shit with my chest." Baby, by the time Reverend got to his wife and tried to sit that ass down, Unc done stood up and pulled out that peace be still and laid Reverend Jackleg ass shyster all the way down. Ooh, in front of the entire town. Y'all, this was at the goddamn funeral. And basically, the town was like, you know what? We ain't saying that you're right, but we understand. Because again, everybody knew that Reverend Maxwell was killing everybody. So now, Unc on trial for killing Reverend Maxwell. And ooh, honey, if that wasn't the most blackest nigga ass shit that I ever had a chance to read about, baby, that trial, I giggled my way through the transcripts because, baby, they let Unc Crip walk right on up out of there without so much as a slap on the wrist, baby. If you have not checked out this episode, you should really treat yourself and get your laugh on with Reverend Merkel Motherfucker. Ooh, baby. So we gonna keep this train rolling in at number 9 out of our top 10 ranked episodes for 2025. Guess what? We got a little mayhem on a train. Coming in with 4,119 streams, the episode entitled Mayhem on a Train. Our mayhem maker, his name was Colin Ferguson, a.k.a. the Long Island Railroad Shooter. I gotta be real with you, this one was crazy because it taps into one of the biggest threats to everyday life for everyday people. The lone shooter who crashes the fuck out. Like, this is the type of crime where it doesn't matter what you were doing. It doesn't matter who you are or how good your day is going or how good you are as a person. If somebody decided today is the day, baby, you can unfortunately fuck around and find out while doing the most ordinary, mundane tasks. What makes this story so wild is that it's one of those types of crimes that people swear up, down, and sideways that black folks don't do. You know, a mass shooting. Baby, people love to act like that's reserved for the chicken skin committee. But nah, honey. This mayhem maker was a whole Wakandian, and the way the world just tucked this little story away like it didn't even happen, that's a sin and a shame before God. Now, just to give you a little background, Colin Ferguson came from a good home. He had a normal life on paper, but somewhere between a bunch of loss in his life, a chip on his shoulder that was the size of a boulder, a bunch of resentment that was building up in his soul, and an obsession with race wars. This man took a hard left into paranoia and hate, and baby, it was no turning back. And Colin, he was smart, which is the even scarier part because he didn't look crazy. He looked like somebody that you would sit next to on the train while you make your commute and think nothing about it. And it turns out that he is the killing killer that killed everybody on the goddamn train. Ooh, honey, Colin had a mindset of everybody is against me. It's everybody's fault in the world why my life is so hard. So Colin started talking shit to anybody that would listen. But folks was just brushing it off. Oh, he just talking. He don't mean that. He just mad. You know how he gets sometime. Yeah, that was until the day he stopped talking and let his trigger finger talk for him. Colin Ferguson jumped on a train, the Long Island Railroad to be exact, and set it the fuck off. Honey, let me tell you, snakes on a plane ain't got shit on hot lead in a tube. Colin had these people trapped in a moving train car with nowhere to go. And when I tell you it turned into mayhem in a matter of seconds, ooh, sweet black Jesus. And the aftermath of it all, just devastating because Colin made a mess. And the fact that this all happened before the term, air quotes, mass shooting became a part of our daily vocabulary, that's what makes me feel like what Colin did was like the opening act of the shit show of a world that we currently find ourselves living in. Baby, I'm going to need you to get into it. If you ain't heard about the mayhem on the train, go on ahead and download it today and get your Colin Ferguson, the Long Island Railroad shooter all the way on, honey, because I tell you, it's a whole ass trip. Now, coming in at number 8, I bring you the OG, the great-great-granddaddy of serial killing, the killingest motherfucker on the planet, and his name is Samuel Little, baby. This is the Samuel Little Files, Part 1, Born Bad. Coming in, it had 4,143 streams. This was the intro episode into the makings of a monster. It was me cracking open the gates of hell and letting y'all look straight into the face of the most prolific serial killer in American history. And goddamn it, he was a whole ass black man. Woo! Y'all know. He confessed to 93 killations and has more than 60 of them absolutely confirmed. And when we talk about serial killers, we hear the names Dahmer, Bundy, Gacy. But the hard fact is that Samuel Little, his name don't get said with the same bass in your voice as those. And that's part of the problem because this man just wasn't a killer. He was the killingest. He wasn't just hunting. He was the huntingest motherfucker. And his victim list, it read like a damn indictment on how America treats black women who are poor, addicted, unhoused, and just survive in any way that they can from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, honey. Again, this episode is the origin story on how the monster gets built. We talked about his childhood, the early warning signs, and the revolving door of jails all over the country that Samuel did, because he didn't shy away from the action, baby. He wasn't a wallflower. Oh, no, baby. Samuel was out there shaking and moving. But he also learned how to disappear like a fart in the wind. And that's the scariest part because, yes, he was most prolific, absolutely, but he wasn't no criminal genius like that. He just understood the rules of the game. He knew how to play the system's blind spots. You see, back then as well as now, if you cross a county or a state line, you may as well have crossed into a whole different reality. It's different cops. Everybody got different files. Ain't nobody sharing no information. Nobody's making any connections. Nobody is spotting the pattern. And Samuel Little, he used that like a goddamn GTA cheat code, baby. Part 1 was the appetizer, honey, but this was a 4-course meal, honey. So I know you listened to part 1. You already know it wasn't just about this killer. It was how we made a killer. But there are 3 more parts in that series. series. And baby, I need you to download them all and listen to them all. And it's crazy because Samuel Little was the last episode, basically, of 2025, and it already cracked into the top 10, so I can't wait to see what it does in 2026. All right, moving on, coming in at number 7 with 4,149 streams. The episode is titled Mayhem Artois. Ooh, it's about our mayhem maker, Mr. Nathaniel Robert Cole Jr., a.k.a. Mr. Kill Your Whole Family. We went to Shreveport, Louisiana for this one, y'all. Cajun country. Our mayhem maker made history as Shreveport's first serial killer of record. Oh, his mama must be so proud. Not. Now, this particular episode will have you sitting there like, how the fuck did this happen? Because the clues, they were loud. The pattern, it was loud. The violence, extremely loud. And somehow, this man, Nathaniel Robert Cole Jr., he stayed free until he basically walked up to the police on some mystical type of shit. Like, I heard you was looking for me. Here I go. I mean, for real, y'all, this nigga really but pulled up on the police like, hey, bestie, it's me. I'm the killer. I did it. Baby. We met him when he was young and he was diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. He had a long trail of a whole bunch of something ain't right about this nigga type of situations, you know, that can't get right type of behavior. It was just a bunch of chaos. And he liked that booger sugar. Caught a rape conviction that sent him to Angola for like 9 years, which is amazing because we've learned throughout these episodes that these men use their dicks as weapons of mass destruction, and they usually just a slap on the wrist. So for him to get 9 years, that was actually a good thing. But baby, when that motherfucker got paroled after them 9 years was up, he is back on the streets, and then the hood gets a problem that nobody was prepared for. I mean, damn near as soon as he hit the streets, the killation started. The lady that lived in the house behind him, he sent her ass to the upper room. Then, about a year and some change later, one of the homies that he had beef with, he got disconnected. And then came the coup de grace. This nigga killed a whole ass family. A whole family, y'all. 4 people, 1 killation. The mama, her daughter, her boo, and her brother gone. And it's a blessing in disguise because there were 2 other daughters that Nathaniel did not kill that were in that house of horrors. Now, yeah, they were unharmed physically, but mentally, toast. Scarred for life, honey. Scarred. And to make your blood pressure go up even more, Nathaniel was seen after these killations covered in blood from head to toe, trying to sell stolen items. And ain't nobody called the police to be like, hey, the neighborhood crackhead is out here covered in blood. I think he just did something. Y'all might want to come check some shit out. Everybody just acted like that was just normal business. But then the audacity hit a brand new level because Nathaniel, while he was high as a kite, he decided that he would become a snitch. Okay, Nathaniel. But then he ain't just let it ride. Nathaniel went over his granddaddy's house, killed his granddaddy and 2 little boys that his granddaddy was mentoring. Like, what the fuck? And then while the police were there investigating his grandfather's death, Nathaniel inserted himself into the investigation and started dropping all kind of clues, shit that only the killer would know. And so at this point, the police was like, well, since you're basically solving the case for us, let us look at you, Nathaniel. Duh. Baby, they would go on to lock Nathaniel up, charge him with all these various crimes. And baby, by the time he makes it to trial, the evidence was overwhelming. The jury didn't take but 60 minutes to convict that ass and a couple of hours to decide death row was where he was going. But the real serious part is that decades later, here in the year of our Lord 2026, Nathaniel is still alive and kicking, sucking on the taxpayer's titty. Baby. Whew, y'all know how I feel about that. Somebody need to take him out behind the barn and put him out his misery. No more 3 hots and a cot for you. But neither here nor there in this wrap-up episode. This is all about the top 10 episodes of 2025, and Mayhem came in at number 7. But we are almost to the halfway point, y'all. And number 6, coming in with 4,310 streams, was a collaboration between myself, Miss Tiffany from Melanin Mysteries, and Brittany from A Sip of Red Rum for a 3-part PSA that we call the Side Piece Trilogy. Ooh, my Lord. Honey, let me tell you. I brought you the Marvin Simmons story. He was from Vegas, and that was a story where the dude was caught up in his shit, and rather than take the blame and face it like a man, he killed his side piece. And then Melanin Mysteries, Miss Tiffany took us to Chicago with the Nova Henry story. That one was heavy because it showed us how love can turn you into a target. And then Brittany from A Sip of Red Rum, she covered the Kiana Wilson case. Y'all might remember Miss Kiana Wilson. She was the woman who got shot after she ran up in the house of her husband's side piece. Ooh, my Lord. Let me tell you something. This was a PSA episode, but Noir Nation, I don't know who needs to hear this. The minute feelings get involved and your pride gets involved and somebody starts feeling like they're being played, the situation can turn into somebody grabbing a gun instead of walking away with their dignity. The lesson that we learned across all 3 of these stories, a motherfucker will kill you to keep their shit from coming to light. And a motherfucker will kill you rather than let you be happy with somebody else, as well as a motherfucker will kill you if you run up in their shit. So note to self, please don't be running up in nobody's house. If you are not an invited guest, do not run up in these people's houses, baby. Because if somebody has already lost their mind, your logic ain't gonna save that ass. And that's all I have to say about that. All right, coming in at number 5 with 4,338 streams is the treacherous rich auntie Geraldine Parrish. And baby, this one is for everybody who thinks that women of God can't be demons with a business plan. We talking about a bootleg preacher, an insurance scammer turned into a serial murderer, baby. Miss Geraldine Parrish ain't no motherfucking joke, honey. She wasn't out there robbing banks. She was not out there slinging drugs, baby. Geraldine Parrish, she was the queen scamster in charge of a crooked-ass MLM corporation, baby. She was running a life insurance mill, and Madame was collecting bags on bags on bags, hunty. Ooh, baby. Let me tell you, Geraldine Parrish was a self-proclaimed prophet, a storefront preacher. Unlike Reverend Mucker motherfucker, at least she did have some place to call home. She was a root-working hustler and a professional manipulator, baby. I don't understand how she was able to talk friends, families, lovers, tenants, and church members into taking out life insurance policies and name her ass as the beneficiary. Ooh, child, I'm going to say it again because I have said this time and time, but what kind of silver-tongued, slick-talking pimpery is that to convince you to let a stranger collect a check if you check out this bitch? Like, you are literally worth more dead than alive. And Jerry, she wasn't playing with their asses either. Oh, she was a double or nothing up in that thing. I'm talking about hitting them with their ooh-wee. Because you see, Jerry, she wasn't no basic bitch, and these were no basic policies. Oh, no. They were double indemnity policies, meaning that if you died violently, the payout she got doubled. Baby, Geraldine was all for double for your trouble, baby. Murder wasn't a long shot when you fucking around with Geraldine. It was the goal. And like I said, Geraldine did not discriminate. Anybody could get it. Her sister's boyfriends, the tenants, her congregants, anybody, even her own niece, that she tried not once, not twice, but 3 whole ass times to send on the glory. Shot, stabbed, and her throat slit. But she still survived. And that's because Niecy Pooh must have had a praying grandmother. Who was on some no weapon formed against my niece shall prosper. Cause child, y'all about to make me testify up in this piece. It was like God said, not today, Satan. The niece, her name was Dolly Brown. Geraldine had this girl shot in the head, then shot on another occasion, then slit her throat, then shot her again. And Dolly survived every damn time. But it didn't stop Geraldine from trying to cash that policy, but she just couldn't collect on it because Dolly just would not die. And the whole while all of these murderations are taking place, Geraldine is stacking up husbands like she's stacking Uno cards. Draw 4, draw 2, skip you, reverse, skip you, reverse. Baby, 8 marriages under multiple aliases, not a divorce in sight, and some show enough casticalities because she married her nephew in a church ceremony. How the fuck you sitting up here talking about I've been loving you since you was a child? Ooh, Jerry, black folks don't do that. We don't marry our kin, and certainly not that close. A whole ass nephew? Ma'am, if you don't find you a 6th or 7th cousin twice removed, girl, cause baby, the incest of it all. Ugh. I cannot. And here's the kicker. The police didn't catch Geraldine because they cared and they was just on the prowl trying to figure out who the fuck was knocking all these people off. They caught her because her hitter, he got sloppy and got caught up in another murder situation. And when the police pressed him about that situation, he told everything. Man. When they came to get Geraldine after her hitter sang like a goddamn bird, they found 45 insurance policies in her house. 45. Ooh, sweet black Jesus. It was 45 motherfuckers on deck who didn't even know that they was on deck and didn't even know that she just hadn't gotten around to their asses as of yet. When it was all said and done, Geraldine was convicted of multiple murders, conspiracies to commit murder, attempted murderations, and she was sentenced to multiple life terms. Baby, this was truly an example of how loose lips sink ships. Thank the Lord for a motherfucker who can't hold water. Baby, Geraldine Parrish, rich auntie, false prophets, and one of the coldest scammers to ever weaponize God and greed, baby. And had she not got caught, she'd probably still be out here collecting the bag. But at this point, we're going to just 2-step right on past Geraldine's good shyster ass to see a man buy some cookies at number 4. Coming in with 4,390 streams, we had a serial killer by the name of Harrison Graham, and he was also known as the Cookie Monster Killer. Now, they called him Marty, and he was a fixture in the neighborhood because he was a part-time handyman, part-time drug dealer's go-do boy, and a neighborhood entertainer. He was always seen with a Cookie Monster doll doing a little jig, just kind of slow because, again, what grown-ass man walks around with a Cookie Monster doll? But, people saw Marty as a slow, harmless, maybe even a little off. But what they didn't see or chose not to see was that he was a sexually violent serial killer that was strangling black women during sex and then stacking their bodies up in his house anywhere he could. And it was only when the smell of death was coming from his little rundown apartment, it got to be too much for his neighbors, that they called the police on him. And when the police rolled up to his spot, they found a full-blown house of horrors. 7 black women, dead, decomposing, and mummified, hidden under mountains of trash all over this little 2-room apartment. They were in closets. They were in the attic. They were even in nearby buildings. But Noir Nation, the nastiest part about this whole thing is that Marty, when the police came, they looked through the keyhole into his bedroom and they could see a decomposing body laying on top of his bed. So when they got in there, they got that body and then they started clearing shit off his bed. Oh my God, there was another body up under that stuff in a bed that this man was sleeping in every night. Ooh, my Lord, that spot is trifling as it come. The maggots of it all. Oh, my skin is crawling. I'm gonna have to go take me a shower. Oh, Lord Jesus. I can't do it, y'all. Now, once the cat was out the bag, Marty dipped on that ass. He wasn't too slow to know that he was goddamn fucked like duck. But it would eventually be his own mama that got him to turn himself in over a hot dog and some tasty cakes. Now, once in custody, Marty was trying to deny, like Peter did Jesus. He was like, oh, them bodies, they was already in the apartment when I moved in. Sir, I don't think that's what they mean when they say fully furnished, but whatever. Eventually, he went on ahead and copped to it, and he was found guilty after a bench trial. Oh, Marty Marr ended up with 6 death sentences and 6 consecutive life sentences. But here's what the judge tried to give him a little leniency. The judge said that the state couldn't kill him until after he had served all 6 of his life sentences. Okay, but, Marty didn't care either way. All he wanted to know was, could he get his Cookie Monster doll back? Okay, Marty. Baby, we just gonna move on, because after that, what can you do other than take a shower and scrape my tongue? Ugh. Sliding in at number 3 with 4,567 streams. And baby, I need you to lean in and listen to me close about what I'm about to say, Noir Nation. Our next mayhem maker that came in at number 3 is second only to Samuel Little. Did y'all hear me? I said he's second only to Samuel Little. Like, that's a big freaking deal. Because just like Samuel, this man was out here in these killing streets hard. Like, he is the OG of unchecked murderations. It is estimated that there are 50 to 100 victims just by this man, Coral Eugene Watts. Ooh, my Lord. Coral Eugene Watts, he wasn't sloppy, he was not impulsive, and he for damn sure wasn't stupid. From the time he was a teenager, Coral learned how to game the system, and he weaponized mental illness. He spent his time studying the doctors to see what they wanted to hear to make them write the right diagnosis. He spent his time studying the police when they did lock him up to see how they moved, how they did what they did. And he perfected the art of doing just enough damage to terrify anybody that he came in contact with, but not enough to get convicted. You see, while the other serial killers were leaving evidence and getting caught up, baby, Coral Watts was stacking bodies again across multiple states and Canada. This nigga is international. And then skating every damn time. Like, legit, y'all, they think that Coral Watts killed between 50 and 100 women, more than 100. And a body count like that eclipses John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Ted Bundy combined. Just like your boy Samuel Little, that's an impressive body count. Like, god damn. But yet, for most of his criminaling career, he was never sent to prison as a punishment. Coral learned to work the system, I told you, and he was able to finagle his way to a mental hospital instead of prison. And understand, when he did go to prison, he for damn sure was never convicted of murder of any type. Baby, Coral was out here attacking women in broad daylight, in all times of the day and night. Baby, blitz style. He would jump up on them, strangle them, stab them, drown them, and then disappear before the police could even figure out what just happened, right? After a while, though, law enforcement was on to him. They knew it was him. Baby, multiple agencies was trailing this man, watching him every move that he make. He was under surveillance, but they still couldn't touch him. They didn't have no evidence. And see, this is where Coral Watts and Samuel Little, this is where they diverge. You see, Samuel Little, he relied on being invisible. His victims that he targeted were marginalized victims, women that nobody was looking for. Coral Watts didn't want no parts of that. He relied on precision and restraint. Like, he didn't give a fuck about what type of woman he was attacking, but what he did know was that he didn't want no drug addict, he didn't want no prostitute. Coral wanted mainstream women to be his victims. And like I said, he was quick with it. In most cases, there was not a sexual assault. He didn't linger to sit around after the crime. He didn't leave no DNA. He hunted fast, and he killed even faster, and he left nothing behind, baby, except terrified survivors in cold cases. And you see, Samuel Little, he spilled all of his secrets over some honey buns and some Snicker bars right before it was almost time for him to go see the king. But Coral Watts, oh, no, baby. He stayed silent until the shit benefited him. And when it did benefit him, oh, baby, he sang like a bird. It all went down in Texas, of all places, where he finally got caught in mid-attack. Baby, how they catch this man attacking two girls, teenagers, 19, 20 years old, caught in the act of attacking these women? Baby, after he gets caught, Coral Watts pulled off one of the most outrageous legal finessing jobs in serial killer history. Baby, he cut a deal. And I ain't talking about just any old deal, but a deal so sweet it'll give you sugar diabetes if you stand too close to it. Baby, this motherfucker got immunity from murder charges. Murder! Baby, Coral Watts confessed to 50 killings in exchange for, wait for it, a burglary conviction. I know. Baby, if you ain't listened to this episode, you have got to, because I'm not doing it justice. I'm just giving you enough of a teaser to make you go back and be like, what? But yes, he confesses to dozens of bodies that he done sent to the stairway to heaven. And not be sentenced for not a damn murder, but for burglary? Like, what y'all gonna say? He just stole some souls? Like, sweet black Jesus. And did, though. That's what I need y'all to understand. Coral Watts was convicted of burglary, and so he goes off and starts his prison time. But here's the thing. Everybody thinks that this is the end for this nigga. But all these good smart-ass DAs and legal scholars or whatever, they forgot about one little thing. Time off for good behavior. And because of that, Coral Watts' good killing ass is about to legal loophole the system and crip walk right on out of prison on parole. You heard me. Coral Watts was on track to become the first admitted serial killer to be paroled without ever having been tried for a single murder. Ooh, baby, but when that happened, Michigan said, the devil is a lie. I be goddamn if we gonna let this shit happen on our watch. But see, what had happened back in the day, Coral was thought to have killed some people in Michigan. And when they found out that Coral was about to be released from Texas, Michigan swooped in and they blew the dust off some cold cases from decades earlier. And baby, they finally landed the kill shot. They expeditiously convicted him of murder just 2 years before his scheduled parole release. Baby, they stacked them light sentences like some pole dancers at Magic City. Ooh, I'm talking back to back to back to make sure that Coral Watts never breathed free air again, baby. But, you know, he got the last laugh because a couple of weeks after they gave him all those life sentences, he went on ahead and kicked the bucket. Saved all of some taxpayer time and money. We appreciate that, Coral. Go on, get up out of here. I wish more of the serial killers and serial rapists and all of them serial offenders would do the same thing and just drop dead and save all the taxpayers some time and money. Ooh, but I still need y'all to understand, 50 to 100 women, that might be more than Samuel Little. How is it that the most prolific serial killers in United States history, number 1 and number 2, we can fight over who's number 1 and who's number 2. It don't matter. They both are black men. But we don't talk about it. Do y'all know Coral Watts? Did I have to remind y'all of this man? Get into it, Noir Nation. So, we are down to the top 2 episodes of 2025 that you, Noir Nation, could not get enough of. Sliding in at number 2 with 4,727 streams. A story that is about manipulation at its deadliest. Alton Coleman and Deborah Brown. The episode is entitled Natural Born Killers. Ooh, Alton Coleman was a master manipulator long before he became a serial killer. He was street smart, charming, and smooth talking, and he learned on early how to use people's kindness against them. For years, he raped women, men, and children, slipping through all kind of cracks every single time he was charged because the charges would always be reduced, dismissed, or just buried. And every time he skated on a charge, it just made him more bold. And each time they gave him a slap on the wrist, it just taught him a new lesson. And the lesson that he learned was, if your victim lived, they can testify against you. So by May of 1984, Alton Coleman stopped leaving witnesses alive. Baby, he began as a solo predator and evolved into one of the most brutal killing duos in American history when he joined forces with his devoted down like four flats on a Cadillac, his bottom bitch, Deborah Brown. Together, they went on a 2-month interstate reign of terror. I'm talking they crisscrossed through Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Kentucky. They would pose as stranded travelers or church-going believers just in need of some ministering, or the friendly couple, and they would talk their way into cars and houses and gain people's trust. And then they would unleash some beatings like, woo, my Lord, like the biggest can of whoop ass you can open. Oh, that's what they were doing. And then Alton would be sexually assaulting these people, and then they would sometimes kidnap, and always ended in murder. There was no age, race, or gender that was off limits. Children, senior citizens, church folks, entire families, anybody could get it. Their crimes escalated like it was crazy. They went from 0 to 1,000, baby, and it was just brutality and just cruelty, including the rape and murder of little girls. It was awful, y'all. Just trifling and negacious and motherfuckerly as hell. And as the body count rose, so did the pressure to find they little punk asses and put their asses where they belong, inside of a cage. They were so turned up in their criminality that the FBI made an exception of their own damn rules. Y'all know they have a top 10 most wanted list. Baby, they added Alton Coleman as the 11th person on the top 10 most wanted list. That's how bad they wanted that ass. We can't kick none of the other 10 off. We just gonna make an exception and add his ass on. The hunt was on, but the damage was already done. The duo was finally captured in July of 1984, and the courtroom just became another stage for Alton to perform on because old boy decided he was going to act as his own lawyer. Ugh. And so he was up there interrogating as he cross-examined his accomplice in this crime, Deborah Brown, trying to control the narrative, but the jury wasn't buying that shit. Baby, Alton Coleman was sentenced to death 4 separate times, and he made history as the only man in America condemned to death in 3 different states. Baby. And when they finally did that state-sanctioned barbecuing of his disgusting ass in 2002, it was good riddance to bad trash. Now, Deborah Brown, who I like to call a graduate valedictorian for Dumb Bitch University, they found her ass mentally deficient. Man, fuck all that. She avoided being executed because, they said she wasn't all there in the brain, but they did get it as multiple life sentences. And as of today, the year of our Lord 2026, Deborah Brown is still sucking on the taxpayer titty. Another one we need to take behind the barn. All right. And now, the moment that we have been building up to. Drum roll, please. I got to get me some effects. Coming in with 7,024 streams in 2025, the inaugural episode of the podcast, Miss Roberta Elder, the one I just re-recorded. Yes, it is the #1 episode of all time by far. The introduction, if you will, to the Melanin Mayhem Podcast. For the very first episode, I had to kick off with a case that just laughs in the face of what the serial killer profile is. Because this one wasn't a white man stalking strangers in the dark. This was a black woman killing folks right there in her own damn house. During Jim Crow, of all things, when everybody that was black was supposed to be looking out for each other. Roberta Elder, born Roberta Brown in Watkinsville, Georgia. Baby, if audacity was a person, it would be Sister Roberta. Because, honey, she had that audacity like it was on sale, buy one, get 2 free. People would come into her orbit, whether they were family, friends, or people that rented a room from her, even people from the church. And one by one, they would get sick. They would suffer from the flu or pneumonia or gastrointestinal issues. They would be food poisoned. It would be the same story a different body, but all of them deader than a motherfucker and a check collected on their behalf. Ooh, and baby, Roberta's alleged victim list is wild. We talking her own flesh and blood children, her husbands, her stepchildren, her step-grandchildren, her mama, her cousin, a woman who rented a room from her, and eventually a pastor's whole family damn near. Now, most of these deaths, they were brushed off as tragedy and just bad luck, because who was going to suspect the quiet church lady of murder? And more importantly, who was going to believe a black woman had the cunning to run a long-ass con game like this? But then Roberta got bold. After meeting Reverend William Elder and the members of his family, she weaseled her way in, and the next thing you know, Reverend Elder's wife, here she coming up sick, and Roberta is going to be the nursemaid that nurses her back to health, but instead, she nursed her right on to the upper room. And baby, as soon as she was gone, Roberta replaced her as the first lady, and then within months, 2 of his daughters also deader than a motherfucker. I'm talking about within months. And then the Reverend himself. Ooh, child, Reverend Elder was sick for weeks, and the doctor was like, this is not right. And when it was all said and done, it was a horrible, painful death that this man of God had to suffer through. But at this point, the good doctor was like, something about this ain't natural. And so he ordered an autopsy for Reverend Elder. And baby, when the autopsy results came back, they found arsenic in his system. Not just any old amount of arsenic either. Baby, Reverend Elder had enough arsenic in his system to kill 3 grown-ass men. Ooh, baby. Suddenly the grieving widow wasn't just unlucky, she was lethal. But you know what? Even with a trail of bodies believed to be 13 deep, Roberta was only tried for 1 murder, and that was the good Reverend's. And the case was mostly circumstantial. What they had was insurance policies, suspicious timing, and repeated illnesses that led to a pattern that was just a little too loud to ignore. Now, the jury that she faced, they convicted her and they gave her a life sentence. But here's the thing that feels like a slap in the face. Life didn't mean life, because guess what? Roberta got paroled. Ooh, child, Roberta walked back into the world in 1964 and lived quietly for a good number of years after that. One of the most prolific suspected serial killers people have never heard of, out here allowed to die at home. A free woman. Baby, ooh, my Lord. Roberta didn't hunt for no strangers, baby. She hosted them in her house. If you ate at her table, you might not even live long enough to clear your plate, honey, because at Roberta's house, the welcome was warm and the goodbye was permanent. Ooh, my Lord, Noir Nation, we made it to number 1. Baby, if this countdown proved anything, it's this. Melanin Mayhem is not a myth, it's a blind spot. The world loves to act like black folks don't do certain types of crimes. Like we only show up in the story as a victim or as a suspect or a supporting character. But baby, we've been giving main character energy for the good, for the bad, and for the absolute fuckery of it all. So as we get ready to close this thing out, I want you to remember this. The danger isn't just the killer. It's the system that decides who's worth looking for, who's worth believing, and who is worth justice. And that right there is why I'm here. To say their names, to tell the full story, and to drag this horrifying ass truth into the full light of day. Now, all right, Noir Nation, you all survived this episode of the top 10 highest ranked episodes for 2025. And yeah, we just did number 1, but I want y'all to know that you are number 1 in my book. Y'all have been rocking with me since the beginning, and I am so appreciative of it. You know, I tell y'all that all the time, but thank you so much for loving on me the way y'all love on me. Now, I'm going to go do what I got to do, which is get in the kitchen and attempt to polish this thing up and splice some shit together and turn this audio into a video. This is going to be my first foray into video. It's also 2:10 in the morning, so we're going to see what we're going to see. But until we meet again next week, y'all know the routine. Go ahead and stay safe. And I need you to stay vigilant. And baby, remember this. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's one love, Noir Nation, and your favorite country girl is out of here. Mwah!
Ooh-wee, Nana, you did that.